Good morning, Emma. So, I don't have much time this morning because I have to get to work, but in the mode of your video, I thought we could get ready together so that I can save some time this morning. So, after watching your video on Thursday, I thought it was really cool how you were talking about adulting is just finding a balance in your life. And I 100% agree that finding balance is the most difficult thing when you're living on your own and you're working and you're going to school and all of the crazy life things happen and you're trying to figure out how it all works together. But one thing I think that is important to mention is that we've been figuring this out long before everyone else our age was even starting to try to figure out how to act like an adult. And I think that gives us kind of a head start on life, you know, because in high school we weren't doing the typical high school things, and now in early adulthood we're really not doing the early adulthood stuff the same way that everyone else is. And I think in part that's because we started figuring out how to balance our priorities early. So one of the things that I've found very, very difficult to balance in my own life is the balance between working and acting like, you know, a young adult and doing fun things for fun and not because I feel like I have to, because I haven't done anything fun in a long time. So as you know, this summer I'm working 7 days a week. So I work 5 days up at home, and then I come down to Tucson and work 2 days a week down here. And that doesn't leave very much time to do fun things with friends and to like go do movies and go hang out. But I have to fit that in because I know from experience that when I don't, things get much more difficult for me mentally, and I burn myself out. So when I'm down here in Tucson, I like to hang out with my roommates and, you know, some of our friends from high school, and then when I go home I hang out with you and our other friends. But while we're hanging out, I also feel like maybe I should be working and making more money on top of everything else that I'm already doing. And that's just because I have to pay for my own schooling, and I am kind of responsible for my own living arrangements, which I know you are too, so you understand. And so it just makes it difficult when I want to hang out with people, and I feel like I could be doing other things instead. On top of that, I think that it is also incredibly important to spend money on not just the things that I need. So yes, it's important that I have money for, you know, rent and bills, and food and gas. But I also need to remind myself that it's okay to go see a movie every once in a while, or it's okay to go to the mall and buy a couple of frivolous nonsense things like car fresheners and lipstick. And that's something that's really difficult for me, because I feel like if I do spend all of that money on things that I don't need, then my parents are going to end up having to help me with the things that I do need that I should have been spending money on in the first place, even though everyone around me understands why I'd spend on the things that I do. And that's just really difficult for me to get my head around. And that's why adulting is hard, because you want to spend on things, and you want to spend your time and your money on things that you enjoy doing that make your life better, but that means spending money on things that make your life better that aren't fun. And so I end up typically spending more time working and doing things that aren't necessarily fun instead of doing things that work on, you know, spending all my time on work and or school. And so one thing I think about a lot is, if I weren't doing what I'm doing right now, what would I be doing instead? And so that's a question I have for you, is if you weren't doing what you're doing right now, what do you think you would be doing? You know, what are some goals that you haven't started on yet, or that you've been thinking about starting but never got around to it? Yeah, so I want to know, what do you think your opportunity costs are of doing what you're doing right now? And I'm sorry this video was so short and mostly just a response to your last video, but Emma, I will see you tomorrow.